Your precious mother's theater is gone. Amanda's voice dripped with satisfaction through my phone speaker. I've already signed the demolition papers. They're turning it into a parking lot. Her laugh echoed through the line, sharp and mocking. I stood in my kitchen, fingers wrapped around my coffee mug, staring at the old playbill from my mother's final production that hung framed on the wall. My name is Julia Palmer, and at 32, I was listening to my sister-in-law gleefully announce the destruction of my family's legacy. The demolition crew arrives next week, Amanda continued, clearly disappointed by my silence. What's wrong, Julia? No tears for Mommy's little stage. Thanks for letting me know, I replied, my voice steady. The calmness in my tone seemed to throw her off balance. That's it. That's all you have to say. Amanda's voice rose an octave. I just told you I'm destroying the Palmer Theater, and you're acting like I just mentioned the weather. The truth was, my hands were shaking, but not from fear or grief. Amanda had no idea what she just walked into. The theater wasn't just a building. It was my mother's heart and soul, the place where she directed groundbreaking productions for 30 years before cancer took her last spring. But more importantly, it was protected in ways Amanda couldn't imagine. Did my brother agree to this? I asked, though I already knew the answer. Tom, my older brother, had always let his wife run roughshod over our family's traditions. Tom knows what's best for the family, Amanda snapped. That old theater is just taking up valuable downtown real estate. The parking lot will generate actual income, unlike your mother's artistic pipe dreams. I thought about my mother's last words to me, whisper from her hospital bed as she clutched a thick envelope in her trembling hands. The theater is yours now, sweetheart. I've made sure of it. Don't let anyone tell you different. Well, I hope the demolition goes smoothly, I said, unable to keep a slight smile from my voice. Have you spoken with the Arts Council yet? There was a pause on the other end of the line. The what? The Arts Council. You know, the ones who designated the Palmer Theater as a protected historical landmark 3 months ago. The ones whose approval you'd need for any structural changes, let alone demolition. The silence stretched longer this time. When Amanda spoke again, her voice had lost some of its swagger. You're lying. Tom would have known about that. Tom hasn't been involved with the theater since high school, I replied. He wouldn't know about Mom's last project, getting the building listed as a historical site. The paperwork was finalized last week. This is ridiculous. Amanda's voice rose to a shriek. That theater belongs to the family, and Tom is the eldest. He has the right to decide what happens to it. I opened my laptop, pulling up the emails I'd received just yesterday. Actually, Mom left the theater to me in her will. I have the documents right here, along with the Arts Council's protection order. By the way, how exactly did you plan to demolish a building you don't own? Tom signed the papers, Amanda said, but I could hear the uncertainty creeping into her voice. Tom can't sign away something that isn't his, I said, my tone still conversational. But I'm curious. Does the demolition company know they're contracted to destroy a protected historical landmark? I'm sure their insurance company would be very interested in that information. You think you're so clever, Amanda hissed. Just like your mother, always thinking you're better than everyone else. This isn't over. You're right about one thing, I agreed. It's not over. The Arts Council is very interested in the attempted unauthorized demolition of a historic building. In fact, they'd like to meet with whoever signed those papers. Shall I give them your number, or would you prefer they contact you through their lawyers? The line went dead. I set my phone down and took a long sip of coffee, letting the familiar warmth steady my nerves. Walking to the window, I could see the Palmer Theater's iconic marquee in the distance, its Art Deco letters still proud against the morning sky. My mother had built that theater for nothing, turning a rundown movie house into a cultural cornerstone of our community. She'd staged experimental plays alongside classics, given countless young actors their first break, and never once compromised her artistic vision. When she got sick, her first concern wasn't for herself. It was for ensuring the theater's future. My phone buzzed with a text from Amanda. Tom won't let you get away with this. I smiled, remembering all the times my mother had told me that preparation was the key to any good production. Always have your lines memorized. She'd say, but be ready to improvise when someone tries to change the script. Opening my email, I forwarded the Arts Council's protection order to my lawyer, along with Amanda's admission about the demolition plans. Then I sent a quick message to Maria. my mother's longtime stage manager who now helped me run the theater. Amanda took the bait. Time to start Act 2. Call the board members. We're going ahead with the summer festival plans. The Palmer Theater had survived 30 years of my mother's avant-garde productions, countless financial challenges, and even the rise of streaming entertainment. It would survive Amanda's schemes too. Mom had made sure of that, and I intended to honor her vision. Looking at the old playbill on my wall, The Show Must Go On, my mother's final production, I felt a sense of calm certainty. Amanda thought she was directing this play, but she had no idea she was merely a supporting character in a much larger production. And I had a feeling she wouldn't like the final act one bit. The next morning, I walked into the Palmer Theater through the stage door, just like I had thousands of times before. The familiar smell of wood and dust and history wrapped around me like a welcome embrace. Maria was already there, organizing papers at the box office counter. "Your sister-in-law just called," Maria said, her eyes twinkling. She was demanding to see the theater's financial records. I told her only the owner has access to those. I smiled, setting my bag down. How did she take that? "I bet they're not," I replied, scanning through the messages. Attempting to destroy a historic landmark tends to ruffle feathers. The theater's heavy front doors burst open, sunlight streaming in behind two familiar figures. Tom and Amanda stormed down the aisle, their footsteps echoing through the empty auditorium. "This is ridiculous, Julia," Tom called out, his voice bouncing off the walls. "You can't just take control of family property like this." I stayed at the box office counter, calm and collected. Interesting choice of words, considering what your wife tried to do. Amanda's face was flushed with anger. "The theater is losing money. We had a legitimate offer for the property. Tom has a right." "Tom has no rights to this property," I interrupted, pulling out a folder. "Mom left the theater to me. It's all here in black and white. The will, the transfer of ownership, and the historical landmark designation." Mom wasn't thinking clearly at the end, Tom said, but I could see uncertainty in his eyes. "She was sick." "She was sick, not stupid," I replied sharply. She knew exactly what she was doing. She also knew someone might try something like this, which is why she worked with the Arts Council to protect the building. "Protection can be overturned," Amanda snapped, but her voice wavered slightly. I smiled, remembering Mom's words about theatrical timing. "You're right, it can be. But not when the building in question has just been selected as the centerpiece of the state's new Cultural Heritage Initiative." The color drained from Amanda's face. "What?" I handed them a press release. "The Palmer Theater has been chosen to host the state's Summer Arts Festival. 6 weeks of performances, workshops, and cultural events. The governor will be here for the opening night." Tom read through the release, his expression shifting. "This is real." "Very real," Maria confirmed, bringing over more paperwork. "The grant money has already been approved. The theater will be renovated and modernized while maintaining its historical character. It's exactly what your mother always wanted, Julia." "This is what you've been planning?" Amanda's voice was tight with barely controlled rage. "While we were trying to save the family from financial ruin with a legitimate business deal, you were arranging some artsy festival?" I felt a flash of anger but kept my voice steady. "Save the family? You tried to demolish our mother's legacy for a parking lot. And let's be clear, the only financial problems here are yours. How much did you lose at the casino last month, Amanda? Is that why you were so desperate to sell property you don't own?" Amanda's face went white. Tom turned to look at his wife. "What is she talking about?" "She's lying," Amanda said quickly, but her hands were shaking. "She's always been jealous of us, Tom. She's trying to turn you against me." "The casino sent their collection notices to the theater by mistake," I said, pulling out another envelope. "Apparently, someone used this address when opening their line of credit. $20,000, Amanda. Is that what this is really about?" Tom's face had turned to stone. "Is this true?" "I was going to pay it back with the money from the sale," Amanda whispered. "It was just temporary." "Get out." Tom's voice was quiet but firm. "Tom, please. Get out of the theater. Amanda, go home. We'll discuss this later." After Amanda fled, Tom sank into one of the auditorium seats, looking suddenly older. "I had no idea," he said finally, "about any of it. The gambling, the demolition plans. I just signed what she put in front of me." "Mom knew," I said softly, sitting next to him. She knew Amanda was looking for ways to get money from the family. That's why she set everything up the way she did. I should have paid more attention, Tom admitted. After Mom got sick, I just checked out. Let Amanda handle everything. It was easier than dealing with it. It's not too late to change that, I said. The summer festival needs a technical director. You were always good with the lighting board in high school. A ghost of a smile crossed his face. Mom used to say I had the best eye for spotlights in 3 counties. She kept all your old lighting designs, Maria called from the box office. They're in the archives. Tom looked around the theater, really seeing it for the first time in years. I forgot how much I loved this place, he said quietly. All those nights working on shows, Mom directing from the 5th row. Help me bring it back, I said. Not just the building, the spirit of it. What Mom created here, it was never about making money. It was about making magic. Tom was quiet for a long moment, then nodded. Where do we start? First, we need to deal with the demolition contract Amanda signed. Then we can focus on getting ready for the festival. There's a lot of work to do. Julia, Tom said, his voice thick with emotion. I'm sorry for everything. I squeezed his hand, remembering all the times we'd sat in these same seats, watching Mom work her theatrical magic. I know. Now, let's get to work. We've got a show to put on. As Tom and I spent the afternoon going through old technical plans and discussing renovations, I could almost feel Mom's presence in the theater. She'd always said that theaters were magical places where anything was possible. Looking at my brother's growing enthusiasm as he rediscovered his passion for theatrical lighting, I knew she was right. The Palmer Theater wasn't just a building or a business. It was a place where stories came to life, where creativity flourished, and where family, real family, stood together. Amanda had tried to destroy that, but in doing so, she'd only made it stronger. Maria brought us coffee as the afternoon light filtered through the dusty windows, casting long shadows across the stage. Your mother would love this, she said, watching Tom sketch out lighting concepts, both her children working together in her theater again. I smiled, knowing the best was yet to come. The summer festival would just be the beginning. The Palmer Theater's greatest production was about to begin, and this time, every role was perfectly cast. 3 months later, I stood in the wings of the Palmer Theater, watching the governor cut the ceremonial ribbon to open the Summer Arts Festival. The theater gleamed under the new lighting system Tom had designed, every Art Deco detail restored to its former glory. The renovation had been a family affair, not the family Amanda had tried to create, with its secrets and schemes, but the real family that had always been there. Tom had thrown himself into the technical upgrades, working alongside the restoration team every day. He'd moved out of the house he shared with Amanda, filing for divorce after discovering the full extent of her gambling debts and deception. Places everyone, Maria called out, her clipboard in hand just like old times. Julia, you're on in 5. I smoothed down my dress, touching the small compass pin on my lapel, Mom's opening night good luck charm that she'd worn for 30 years of productions. As I stepped onto the stage, the familiar warmth of the spotlights embraced me. Welcome to the Palmer Theater's Summer Arts Festival. I began looking out at the packed house. My mother used to say that theater is where magic happens, where stories come alive, and where community finds its heart. Today, we're not just opening a festival, we're continuing a legacy. In the front row, I could see Tom at the lighting board, making subtle adjustments just as he had in high school. Maria stood in her usual spot stage left, mouthing the words along with me just like she had with Mom all those years ago. The festival opening was a triumph. 6 weeks of performances, workshops, and cultural events stretched ahead of us, each day bringing new life to the theater Mom had built. The parking lot developers who'd contracted with Amanda were long gone, their demolition plans nothing but a bad memory. Amanda had tried to fight back, of course. She'd hired a lawyer, claiming she had partial ownership through her marriage to Tom. But faced with evidence of her gambling and fraud, she'd eventually backed down. Last I heard, she'd moved to her sister's place in Florida, leaving behind a wake of unpaid debts and broken trust. After the opening ceremony, as the crowd mingled in the newly restored lobby, Tom found me by the concession stand. Mom would be proud, he said, gesturing to the bustling scene around us. Not just of the theater, but of you. The way you handled everything. You're just like her. She'd be proud of you too, I replied. You found your way back. He smiled, a genuine smile that reminded me of the brother I'd grown up with, before Amanda had driven wedges between us. I was thinking about the old days, he said. Remember when Mom would let us sleep in the green room during tech weeks? How she'd find us curled up in the costume closet. And she'd always say, "The theater is alive at night." We finished together, laughing. Maria joined us, her clipboard finally set aside. "Speaking of alive, wait until you see the bookings we got lined up after the festival. Schools, community groups, touring companies. The Palmer Theater is going to be busier than ever." "Just like Mom always wanted," I said softly. Later that night, after the crowds had gone and the house lights were dimmed, I sat in Mom's favorite spot, fifth row center. From here, she had directed countless productions, shaped numerous careers, and built something truly meaningful. I pulled out her old director's notebook, its pages filled with her elegant handwriting. She'd left it for me to find, tucked away with the theater's deed and the Arts Council paperwork. On the last page, she'd written a final note. "My dearest Julia, the theater is more than walls and seats and stages. It's the stories we tell, the lives we touch, and the family we build along the way. You understand that better than anyone. Take care of our home, sweetheart. The show must go on. All my love, Mom." A noise from the lighting booth made me look up. Tom was still there, experimenting with different lighting combinations, his passion for theatrical design rekindled. On stage, Maria was showing the summer interns how to properly coil cables, passing on the traditions Mom had taught us all. The Palmer Theater wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. Amanda's attempt to destroy it had only made us stronger, bringing back the family bonds that had always been the real foundation of this place. Mom had known what she was doing when she left the theater to me, when she protected it with the Arts Council, when she made sure her legacy would be preserved. She'd given me more than a building. She'd given me the chance to continue her story, to keep the magic alive. As I closed her notebook and stood to join Tom and Maria, I smiled, remembering Mom's favorite saying about the theater: "Every ending is just the beginning of a new act." She was right, as always. This was our new act, and it was going to be spectacular.